so-called difficult waters, where you need a special skills.
Right.
Now, look at some of these apparel giants in Sri Lanka. They don't even talk about the GSP plus, right? And I have had number of meetings. I have come across nothing. You see, all what happened here is that, quite unfortunate, but I would say, we always try to see everything in our color of the politics. You know, in Sri Lanka, very badly, the things got heavily politicized. Everything become a politically debated issues, which is incorrect. Now, I like to share my political thought on it, but I should not look at, you know, the issue or the color of my glass. Now, you and me wearing a, you know, colorless glasses, therefore we could see that.
Yeah.
Now, take a simple example. Last few days, it is necessary the regulatory authority to take necessary action in relation to regularizing the stock exchange. Very promising place, but we know very well the vested interest can, you know, leak into it. The vested interest can move into it. Unless we make possible remedial measures. Now, have you seen the way in which that interpreted in certain media, a certain personnel who has a political interest in those issues? That is what is unfortunate. Not that the European Union is withdrawing the GSP plus. You know, we must look at very constructively how this will affect the economy of Sri Lanka. I would say Sri Lankan economy would prosper. Definitely it will prosper.
But you want to say that, I mean, there won't be any effects with the withdrawal of the GSP plus?
You see, in business, which is quite natural, I'm quite sure that you are familiar with the Darwin's theory.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I remember long ago, some session I had about pin chart. Now, the different birds have different shapes of tips. Why?
Yeah.
The survival ensure only the way in which you face the competition. I'm quite sure our industry people will find eventually the survival strategy they are on. I'd like to share one little thing. Now, we lost the American quota some time back. I was invited by the apparel 200 garment factory apparel association industry, as I recall, to a small presentation. And then my solution was very simple. I said, the only way to get out from this mess is that try to improve the productivity and introduce time management. If you could increase a few seconds from each operation from your factory, now we know that it is division of labor. End of the day, you start producing at least 100 to 150 additional units that you never produce. You know what I mean? It works. It works. None of the garment factory have closed down as a result of withdrawing American quotas. Therefore, I'm quite sure our guys, they're very smart, they will find a survival strategy.
You're with Crossfire, an exclusive production of the Department of Government Information. A very interesting, Doctor. I mean, something to do with the out-of-the-box thinking, right? Yeah. So, and you mentioned about the Colombo Stock Exchange, the 10% ban imposed by the SEC, that is the Securities and Exchange Commission. How do you see that? During the first couple of days, the market dropped drastically, some 200 odd points of the all share price index as well as the Milanka as well. But there had been some
now picking up.
Yeah, now picking up and mark improvement. How do you see it? Some investors, they tend to now the government is poking their finger into the Colombo Stock Exchange.
Come on.
Yeah, that should be happening. How do you see that?
Now let me take a simple example. Now putting up a house, what is most important is to have a solid foundation. Even after you completed your construction, if you see that something going wrong, where you looked at your foundation. You have to take immediate corrective measures, no matter how beautiful the house that you have constructed. Right? This has been a long felt need, and I have indicated in different forum. You see, the certain thing can artificially manipulate it. I am a board member also in quite a few commercial businesses, banks, insurance. I know how things happen. Therefore, restricting the maximum amount and having that implement, I am quite sure what effect. The Sri Lanka Colombo Stock Exchange being recognized. All what we need is that we should not look at what is going on in the Colombo Stock Exchange from the color of our glasses. Now, if you listen to the people who have criticized, have you noticed the color of the glass? You may have seen the color of the glass. Right? The Sri Lanka needs independent, balanced opinion makers, rather than having power hungers in political debates. You see black as black, white as white. You mix black and white, you get a different color.
Yeah. Doctor, now, yes, now on the 15th, one of the mega projects of Sri Lanka, the Hambantota Harbour, is being inaugurated on the 15th, and yeah, it's a great addition to the Sri Lankan economy. How do you see this contributes to the, especially the economic development and the boom of the country?
You see, this Hambantota Harbour thing, we should not look at in an isolation. This has been a desire. This has been a critical policy that would have implemented some 400 years ago. Even when Sri Lanka was a colony under Europeans, starting with Portuguese, this is being recognized. Having a port in Hambantota would make a difference in this beautiful island. I refer to some of the publication by the eminent European historian who were here in the civil service in the past. It is being recognized. But for some reason, even after the independence, though this is being recognized as a project to be implemented to take Sri Lanka to a different levels, they didn't implement, like Upper Kotmale hydropower projects, where we didn't have a political leadership. For some reason, the ordinary person from that area became the president with his own experience and exposure into the area, the issues that the people in those areas are experiencing, unless revisiting the historical desire to have a port in Hambantota wouldn't have realized. Now it is being realized. Now I am answering your questions. So what is the economic significance of it? It is also being identified some 400 years back. what is the difference that Sri Lanka could have. It is being avoided, even looking at it, how Sri Lanka will prosper. You take a simple theory, trickle down process from center to periphery. Now from periphery to periphery. So far, Colombo to the periphery. If the Colombo is a center, if the center prosper, periphery prosper. That is the way in which the trickle down process in Sri Lanka works. Now we have a trickle downing from periphery to periphery and periphery to center. I am quite sure that you are 100% with me. The port of Hambantota will not only prosper the area of Hambantota, it will prosper every single possible corner in the economy of Sri Lanka. It is a mega project. It will generate employment. It will create hundreds of thousands of opportunities in new investments, in new industry, in tourism, in services, and the entire economic fabric of that area will change drastically. And at the end you will see a different Hambantota. I am quite sure that you have been quite a few times. You have noticed the way in which it is happening. Therefore, we are quite fortunate. We are here to witness what Sri Lanka is going to take place.
Yeah, what Doctor mentioned about the indirect opportunities as well. You know, for an example, when I was visiting the Hambantota, the development project, there had been some, sellers selling something like ice packets to the people who are visiting, and even they are prospering through that. I mean, that's also one significant point. That would like to mention. And the other thing is about now there had been something like a criticism and allegation from the opposition. This can be once again, from the political point of view, that the government is spending so much of money on mega development projects, and there is a huge capital expenditure. One, the so-called economic analysts like Dr. Harsha and all, they have been, criticizing those projects. How do you respond to these?
I would like them to see a cobweb. Now, in a cobweb, every single corner is important. Am I right?
Definitely, yeah.
Right? You can't have a cobweb unless you complete it. For the first time in the history, we looked at, as I said repeatedly, every single possible corner in the economy. Unless you ensure a complete, a continuous, uninterrupted power supply, who come and invest here? Tell me. Unless you provide proper aviation, internal transportation in an efficient manner, who will come and invest? Where you have to construct airports and the roads. Unless you provide all possible opportunities with the ample of land and a cheaper transportation through the sea, who will go and invest in Hambantota? You? Me? I don't think. Then Hambantota would have been another city of Colombo. Now, Hambantota, Monaragala and few other areas in the country being recognized as a marginal areas. Even enter into the university from this area, we have a special allowance.